Hi, I'm Joe Garagiola.
And I'm Gary Carter.
And we're your hosts for the Ultimate World Series, the greatest games 1 through 7 in World Series history, played out in one classic series.
Up next, Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series. It's the second game of the 1973 World Series, and it's a slugfest between the New York Mets and the Oakland A's.
And it's the last World Series for the Say Hey kid, Willie Mays.
Came in yesterday. There's a bouncing ball to the box. Throw it away! He threw it away! It is lost to the good side.
Hi, I'm Joe Garagiola. 1973, remember that? That was a year that challenged our beliefs. The secret Nixon tapes were revealed, and White House staffers H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman and John Dean, they all resigned in the wake of the Watergate scandal. But in New York, the Mets gave their fans every reason to believe in them. Remember, you gotta believe, and that became their rallying cry? Well, in the span of 5 weeks, the Mets went from last place to division winners to pennant champions. And they won the right to face the defending champion Oakland A's in the World Series. Now, the A's had just won the pennant, beating the Baltimore Orioles in 5 games. And to no one's surprise, won the series opener 2-1. The game you're about to see is Game 2 of that series. And let me tell you, it was a wild one. Now, to relive that game, I'm joined by a member of the New York Mets that won it all in 1986, Gary Carter. The 73 Mets had the worst record of any pennant winner in history, 82-79, just barely over 500. Now, as we look back at this game, how did the Mets even get to the World Series? Now, it had to be the great pitching. That would have made a smart catcher out of me.
It was easy to catch guys like Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman and John Matlack, but how about George Stone?
Who was George Stone? Sound like a movie.
Well, good over-the-top fastball, pretty decent curveball. He was 12-3 that year, Joe, and I think that was a main reason why the New York Mets ended up winning that division.
You think a pennant-winning ball club always needs that one guy that surprise?
Yeah, I think so. It's good to have 3 men in the rotation, but when you can find a 4th, I mean, let's face it, that gets you over the hump.
Now, managers have said to me and to you, to be a smart manager, you need a good bullpen.
Right.
They had one, especially with Tug McGraw coming out of it.
Well, Tug was one of those energetic type guys too, and he would bang his glove on his leg, and he would inspire the guys, and he'd come in real crucial situations. And I mean, he was a key reliever, especially down the stretch run, and then in the league championship series against the Reds.
That was a pretty good one too, if you remember.
Very good one against the Reds, and they were supposed to win, not the Mets.
Give me a quick read on the rest of those pitchers of the Mets. Koosman, Matlack.
Well, Jerry Koosman was a good fastball pitcher like Tom Seaver, but had a big curveball. John Matlack was a little bit more of a crafty left-hander, and he would move the ball in and out a little bit more, but he also had a big curveball. But the key guy on the staff has to be Tom Seaver. He was the mainstay. He was outstanding, Cy Young Award winner, and I think the pitching staff really looked to him a lot.
Every time he went out, there was a clinic, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's go to a sun-filled Oakland Coliseum as my old broadcast partners Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek team up with A's announcer Monty Moore to call Game 2 of the 1973 World Series.
Vida Blue on the mound, and with left-handers Holtzman and Blue for the A's, Matlack and Koosman for the Mets, the starters in the first 2 games. This is the first time since 1963 that 4 left-handers have started in the first 2 contests. Sandy Koufax and Johnny Padre started for the Dodgers in the first 2 games of the '63 World Series. Whitey Ford and Al Downing for the Yankees. Right-handers will be going Tuesday night at Shea Stadium. Tom Seaver for the Mets and Jim Catfish Hunter for the Oakland A's. Tony, let's analyze Vida Blue.
Well, we saw him in that American League Championship Series against Baltimore. He gave a strong 6 innings, and Monty, I know he had the kind of fastball he's had many times late in this year. He was outside and down had good velocity at times, and all of a sudden he tried to go to his breaking ball and slider, and he got hurt by the Etchebarren home run. But he's become a pitcher.
Yes, he has. He's throwing a pitch this year that he himself calls a slurve. It's right between a slider and a curve.
And a slurve?
Yeah, and Vida said it's a slurve.
All right, we're going now to Game 2. Wayne Garrett stepping in for the New York Mets, and stepping in here for NBC to handle the play-by-play, the outstanding broadcaster of the Oakland A's, Mr. Monty Moore.
Thank you very much, Kurt, and hi again, everybody. Wayne Garrett, .256 hitter for the year. His brother Adrian played with the Oakland A's very shortly a year or so back. Vida Blue. Starts him off and misses low and outside, ball one.
Now, Monty, the Mets are waiting for this man to break out. He was their hottest hitter in September, but he hasn't hit in the playoffs in the first game of the series.
There's the Blue Blazer as Vida came back inside on him. He started him off low and away. And you'll see Vida, if he has his control the way he wants it, doing just that now. Early in the year, he didn't have that good control. He was throwing mostly fastballs and just throwing them. The umpire at first base has asked for something to be removed, I believe, behind the home plate area. There's a man who had a white sign down there right behind the backstop.
And a cover of a tape recorder was sticking up, evidently throwing a glare at first base.
Vida hit the outside corner. It's 2 strikes. You notice Vida's number 14, and you who remember Vida from 1971 remember that he wore number 35 to fame, and fortunately, but he went back this year to his high school number. This just misses. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Vida wore this number in high school in football, where he was quite a quarterback, as well as baseball. Missed with 2 close ones. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. Rusty Staub and Felix Millan are both on deck, limbering up, getting ready. Vida threw it right by him. Strike 3. Here's the second baseman of the New York Mets, Felix Millan, and what a year he had. .290 batting average. Live, ball 1. I would imagine that he's made up his mind to lay off Vida Blue's high fastball because it takes off. If it's coming up there high, it's going to get higher. That one just blows right on through. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. He doesn't give you much of a strike zone. Swinging late, he fouls it off.
The Mets are having trouble getting around on him the same way the Orioles did for 5 innings. The right-handers you saw swinging late. Garrett, that 3rd strike blowing right by him. He's just as quick as he was against Baltimore the other day. But the thing is, now we'll see how long this lasts.
Now the umpire's asking that same man to take that sign down off the videotape machine. It's really making a glare for Gene Tennis over at first base.
Notice one thing, Monty, in this ball game. Joe Rudy in left field is playing a little bit deeper today on Felix Millan.
Strike! Called. It nailed the outside corner. Millan doesn't believe it, but he's gone.
Blue the other day, as quick as he was against Baltimore, struck out only 1 man. He's nailed the first 2 today.
He's had that outside corner. Look at this pitch.
Typical pitching pattern these young pitchers use on the Oakland A's staff. They like to go away. Ball was in the strike zone as far as height, but from the angle it was difficult to tell if it was outside or in.
Here's Rusty Staub, who did not play yesterday. Takes high for ball 1. Rusty had 3 hits in the playoffs. They were all 3 home runs, and all 3 off left-hand pitching.
He hits left-handers as well as he does right-handers.
Boy, he just threw that ball right by him, and this was going to be the interesting thing to me, Kurt, to see if Vida would challenge him inside here today because of that sore shoulder. He went right after him right then. Two balls, 1 strike to Rusty. tipped it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I don't know if you could see on that last swing that when Staub went into his follow-through, his right arm and hand came right off the bat. He's going to be swinging with left shoulder and left hand, trying to come over the top on the ball and protect that right shoulder.
Got that bat ready. It's really up in the strike zone. You can see he ended up with one-hand swing right then. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out.
Let's watch the Staub swing once again in slow motion. Keep your eye on that right shoulder, hand, and arm. There he drops it, the twinge of pain. He's had several shots in the shoulder.
Vida misses low. He's gone a 3 ball, 2 strike count.
I noticed during batting practice he was just trying to lay the bat on the ball and poke it to left field. The shots he had were cortisone. 3 shots in his shoulder.
It's like Ray Fosse wanted that pitch outside, and apparently Vida shook him off.
Monty, will be interesting, too, when he gets there's Fosse behind the plate. Interesting in the outfield with Staub, because before the ballgame he could not throw at all.
See where Fosse puts his hand. He put it over on the left leg. He wants it outside. Over the mound. Campaneris got a tough play, but he made it. And the Mets are out in the first inning. The score, the New York Mets nothing. The Oakland A's coming to bat.
We'll be right back with more of Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. Legends of the Fall is brought to you by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's got to save money, real money, and go to all my key markets. Plus, it would have value, it'd be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
Critics are starting to speak of the devil.
It's my time now. We will win.
A sexy and scary surprise.
Want to go upstairs and... No?
Oscar-caliber performances from Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
We're coming out! Guns blazing!
Keanu Reeves.
You blame me!
Al Pacino. A devilishly good time. The Devil's Advocate, rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
Isn't that a pretty sight?
So how many miles? 50?
90.
90?
90,000 miles. Shoot, that's just getting broke in for a Chevy.
Is that a scratch?
Scratch gives character.
The best long-term quality of any full-size pickup belongs to Chevy.
Women like character.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Whew, what'd you step in?
Being a catcher's no walk in the park. Take Mike Piazza. This guy's a human target for a flamethrower who can reach speeds up to 100 miles an hour. Even foul tips to the mask go with the territory. And he's got to call pitches, handle pickoffs, pitch-outs, and pop-ups. Not to mention human freight trains hurtling toward him. Spikes first. Try telling Mike Piazza baseball isn't a contact sport.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Jerry Koosman had a strong second half of the year for the New York Mets. In the 1969 series, he started twice, and he won twice.
Koosman, like Blue, has become a pitcher. Just 2 years ago, he used to strike out about 1 batter per inning. Now he is a control pitcher, does not strike out as many, has 4 pitches, fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. Depends what he has when he goes out the mound as to which pitches he'll throw, the ones that are effective on this particular day.
From looking at his statistics, Kurt, he must have had an awfully tough luck year with an earned run average of 2.84 to win less games than he won. 14 wins and 15 losses. Here's Bert Campaneris. 1 strike to count. National League umpire Augie Donatelli behind the plate. Tell us that he gets close enough to the catcher at times, he puts his hand on him. Keeps that kind of contact. Campaneris taking a shot to right field on the Koosman fastball. It's no balls, 2 strikes.
Koosman's had all kinds of problems. In '68, He and two of his buddies were babysitting while their wives went to a Broadway show, and he burned his pitching hand with some hot popcorn butter, scalded it, nearly cost him his career.
Wow, he didn't get on top of that curveball at all. He really let it get away from him.
He wore bandages in that pitching hand for months. He thought he was through.
The Oakland A's are wearing a white uniform today. They call it their polar bear white, and they only wear them on Sunday. They have 3 uniforms. Bud Harrelson had a busy day yesterday. Gets Campaneris 1 out.
I told Harrelson he was approaching the record for most chances yesterday in a 9-inning World Series game, and he didn't know it. I think he said he handled 15 chances in one game this year in a 14-inning game.
He was all over this place yesterday. Here's Joe Rudy, who drove in Oakland's winning run yesterday. For the season, Joe hit .270, and most of that was after the All-Star break. Solid 300 hitter last year. Really had his troubles this year. There's the changeup by Koosman, and he's high with it. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Matlack said, I definitely went against the scouting report yesterday, pitching to Rudy with Campaneris at second. He said, we know he likes the ball up and out over the plate. And that's right where I threw it. Change up again and trying something different on him today.
And you know, Monty Koosman came back from arm trouble in 70, 71. He labored with a bad arm those 2 years. Completely recovered now. Not quite the velocity he used to have, but a better all-around pitcher.
Big guy, 6'2", a 208-pounder.
Incredibly strong.
He's behind Rudy, 2-0. He goes to the fastball, but it really wasn't a zinger. He's in there for a strike.
And he's one of the 10 best-dressed men in Morris, Minnesota. There are only 9 men in the town. We kid him about that. He won the award one year.
We're in the first inning, game number 2 of the World Series. Rudy looks at a fastball strike, and that one had a little more on it. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. You'll notice Rudy getting ready to get into the batter's box. He's one of the slower batters around and getting ready. But when he gets in there, he's really ready. Fly ball to left field, hit pretty well, and it is lost in the sunshine.
There's that Sunfield again. That ball landed at the base of the fence. Should have been caught. Leon Jones lost the ball in a murderous Sunfield here in left field.
Jones completely losing the ball. He misjudged it at first. He went all the way back to the wall bracing. He thought it was hit more deeply than it really was. He did it in yesterday's ball game, but did make a catch at the last. There you saw him flare away from the ball with that sun flickering off his glasses. Rudy's on second base in scoring position.
The A's felt very strongly that they're playing games against Baltimore in the daytime here were going to be a big factor for them because this is a tough Sunfield. Here's Sal Bando, the A's captain who drove in 98 runs this season. Drive right center field. There's nobody out there. It goes by hard. Rudy scored. Bando going to third. He's in there with a triple. Said this crowd wasn't enthusiastic, but if they were listening right now, they couldn't hear anything within 10 miles of here except this.
They've come to life today, and a better crowd than yesterday. We understand hundreds of people were turned away yesterday. Something about the ticket window. They might have had a sellout. We have just a few empty seats here today.
Reggie Jackson will bat now with a runner at third base and 1 out. Sal Bando hits a lot into right center field during the course of the year, and it was really a little surprising to see them playing him to pull that much. And he hit it right out there, Jackson. And they've got their infield in. Trailing 1-0 in the first inning, Reggie Jackson, who led the league in RBIs with 117 and homers with 32. He also led the American League in runs scored and had a good average of 293, and 12 of Reggie's 32 home runs were hit off left-hand pitching. Strike call, it's 1-1. And the Mets show that they really feel this is going to be a low-scoring game when they bring the infield in against Jackson this early in the game. There's a look from behind home plate on the third base side. See that infield right up in the face of Reggie Jackson.
This is a gamble.
Koosman just got away with hanging a curveball up above Reggie's head. Jackson fouls it off down the right field line, and I would imagine when Jerry threw that one, he wanted it back.
Bring that infield in the early innings. They slap one through. You have the making of a big inning.
They don't want to give up any runs. Reggie foul-tipped the ball and is still alive at a ball and 2 strikes, and the ball came back and hit Grody somewhere.
Sinker ball that Koosman threw, and that's the one you get in trouble with it if you're a catcher. He topped it, appeared to have hit him on the thigh. All the players wear protective devices. Cups, they're called. Grody takes a lot of the beating with those foul tips.
Ever see it? Ever see an old catcher's hands and gnarled fingers?
Apparently it's all right. Let's look at it again. A ball that Koosman tried to sink in on the fists, I believe, of Reggie Jackson. He just topped it. Ow, right in the protective cup.
Reggie Jackson is up with a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. See if Koosman will challenge him here or try to waste one and get Reggie to chase a bad pitch. He went right after him on that pitch. He struck him out with a high hard one to the inside. Baltimore pitched Jackson up there a lot in the series. There was a big out because now it'll take a hit or an error, a wild pitch or something like that, but basically a hit to get that runner in from third base, whereas Jackson could have done it with a fly ball. Gene Tennis comes up now for Oakland. He hit 24 home runs this year. Played in every game Oakland had except 2, 160 of 162.
Even with 2 outs, Wayne Garrett, the third baseman, not playing real deep at his position at third base. In the event that Tennis, and I don't know if he's done it during the season, Monty, does he ever lay down a bunt in this situation? I know he doesn't have good speed.
He's never bunted that I know of except in a sacrifice. Bando down the line trying to draw a balk, and the A's scored a lot of runs that way this year, particularly with a pitcher who starts his motion as Koosman is with his hand in the glove. Tennis takes a letter-high fastball, strike call. Many times a pitcher will be disconcerted by that runner coming down the line. If he has his hand in the glove, it's easy to balk out of that motion, and the A's have gotten a lot of cheap runs that way. Koosman's going at the A's with hard stuff. It's 1 ball, 1 strike to Gene Tennis.
You got to step off the rubber before you break those hands apart, Monty.
Almost any kind of a move with the hands or shoulders on that rubber is a balk. It's outside, ball 2.
The A's are wondering when Jackson and Tennis are going to break through. They've not had an RBI in 6 consecutive games in the playoffs in the World Series. Hitting number 4 and 5 in the lineup.
Koosman showing his foot action. There's a slider wrapped right around his wrist. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count with 2 down. Staying inside the Tennis, it's 3 balls, 2 strikes. Sal Bando at third. The A's lead 1-0 first inning. Missed inside. Looks like he threw a slider then on 3-2. That brings up Jesus Alou. Picked up on the same day in August as Vic Davalillo was from National League clubs by A's owner Charlie Finley to shore up a bench, and those 2 men have been of immeasurable help. As you can see, Alou has hit well for Oakland, .306, and he had big hits in the Baltimore series just completed. Felipe Alou was the first of the Alou brothers to play with Oakland. He was here 2 years ago, and then last year Matty, and this year Jesus. Base hit down into the corner, and Daniel scores. Gene Tennis rounding third, and he's going to be stopped. It is 2-0 Oakland. Jesus Alou ripped one right inside the bag.
What we've seen him in the playoffs yesterday and today, he is really swinging a groove bat right now. He's hot.
Jesus Alou, one of the best first ball hitters I know of. Anything around the place he's at it. Let's look at Wayne Garrett again on the replay. He was playing not a deep third base, almost even with the bag. Ball hit very sharply, driving in a run.
If the Mets left-hand pitchers continue throwing Oakland batters inside as they did yesterday, and right there, Garrett may be having to get a little closer to that foul line. Kenny Holtzman hit one right by him on the right side yesterday.
That's Ray Sadecki warming up now in the Met bullpen. The veteran Ray Sadecki.
Yogi Berra looks out of the Met dugout. Dick Williams studying the scene from the Oakland A's dugout. That's Bert Campaneris in the picture with Dick. Ray Fosse, who did an outstanding job for Oakland this year. They're coming to them in spring training in a trade with the Cleveland Indians. That's a ball. A hit here could pick up 2 more runs. The Met outfielders are playing deep for Fosse. That's Alou, who's never still, no matter where he is. The batter's box on the bases, always doing calisthenics. Tennis down that line at third, as you could see. Wow, that pitch just missed inside. They had started Fosse off outside with a running fastball, and then he brought the fast one right back in on him. It's 2-0 now. They're going to walk him with Dick Green coming up. They're going to go ahead and walk Fosse and pitch to Dick Green.
The way Kuzman's been pitching might be a little bit dangerous. He has not been getting ahead of the hitters in this inning.
Dick Green will come to the plate with the bases loaded, and it is Major League career. Dick Green has hit 4 Grand Slam home runs. He had one this year to win a game against the California Angels.
He didn't have to get a hit yesterday. Played a brilliant defensive game for the A's.
Jackpot is loaded here for Dick Green of Rapid City, South Dakota. He looks at a letter-high fastball, strike 1.
Retired once, didn't he, Monty?
Yes, he did. He's retired once and threatened too many times. He had a year or two when he did not hit well and did not get to play regularly, and last year, as a matter of fact, he had a back operation, a disc removed early in the season, and came back and played in the World Series for Oakland. He's had a super year this year. Fouled it away, and Kuzman is ahead of him at 0 balls, 2 strikes. The Mets are not playing the batters percentage here necessarily because the hitters, as you look at the bases, which are full of Oakland A's, the 2 hitters, Fosse and Green, have about the same averages in RBIs. They just want to try to have a force play anywhere. Struck him out on a good hummer up and in. And the Oakland A's scored 2 runs in the first inning on 3 hits and leave 3 on to score. 2-0 Oakland.
You're watching Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Fury, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn, line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. A, Mike from Sin City.
Caesar is a blur.
Splits, hit splits. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
It takes a little longer to pour a beer as good as Sam Adams. Sam Adams, a better glass of beer.
You've waited your whole life, looking, waiting. The right time nears. Time to buy a car. Need a car? Hundreds of makes, thousands of models, over 10,000 vehicles to choose from every week. Auto Trader magazines. See the difference.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
Watch classic sports. It's the greatest of all time.
My cable company just picked it up. You'll come over.
Cool.
And this time, bring chips.
I'm calling my cable company. I gotta get classic sports, and you can't stop me.
Classic sports, classic sports.
Yes, we just got classic sports. We got it.
Hey, all these guys get it.
So don't leave your friends out in the cold. Spread the word about Classic Sports Network today.
We now return to Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
In the top of the second, Cleon Jones put the Mets on the board with a solo home run off Vida Blue. But the A's struck back in the bottom of the inning when Bert Campaneris tripled and scored on Joe Rudy's single, giving Oakland a 3-1 lead. Wayne Garrett's solo shot in the top of the third pulled the Mets within 1. But in the bottom of the inning, Jerry Koosman loaded the bases. Now let's pick up the action with 1 out and Dick Green at the plate. And Mets manager Yogi Berra went to his bullpen for left-hander Ray Sadecki.
And now back to action here. World Series game number 2, Ray Sadecki.
Sadecki pitching to Dick Green for the second time in the game. Green is batting with the bases loaded. Sadecki's slow curveball is inside. Sadecki is pitching in his 3rd World Series game. He started twice for St. Louis in the 1964 series, winning one of those games. This year for the Mets, he won 5 and lost 4, had 1 save. He appeared in 31 games. Mets have their corners first and third base in. The rest of the infield's back in double play depth. Threw that one by him. Had him pretty well set up with the fastball. He had thrown a slow curve inside, missing. Ball 1.
The Mets have Harry Parker now warming up in their bullpen, Monty, a right-hander. Harry Parker.
They're at the bottom part of the A's batting order, so this is a big out right here. If he can get Dick Green without a run scoring, he'll pitch to Vida Blue. Squeeze play is on, and Green misses the bunt on a curve, and Tennis is hung up. Garrett dropped the ball. Now the other runners are able to move up to second and third base.
John Milner made the tag. Came in from first, Milner.
And if not for the dropping of the ball, there would have been just 1 man in scoring position. Let's watch it again. A breaking ball down and in that Green could not get his bat on. Tennis hung up. Now watch this. Just by dropping the ball here at third base, Wayne Garrett allows Alou to go into third. Posse to go into second. He did his job staying in a rundown long enough to advance those runners.
And now Yogi's got a decision to make whether to pitch to Dick Green with a 1-2 count or walk him and pitch to Vida Blue for that third out.
The A's have had a hit-and-run backfire on them and now a squeeze backfire. 2 men have been cut down.
He's going to pitch to him. Carefully, I hope.
Got a count of 1-2 on him. Ooh, strike 3 call. Dick Green is out on a curveball. And I'm not sure whether they call it a swing or a take, but anyway, he's out. So in the 3rd inning, no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 2 men left, and the score after 3 innings is 3-2 Oakland.
We'll be right back with more of Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio on HBO, Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
Grace is the perfect word for Joe DiMaggio. He covered center field with elegance. He swung the bat with precision. His quiet class created a love affair with Yankee fans. Grace was the Yankee Clipper, and the Yankee Clipper is Classic Sports Athlete of the Week.
the grace.
Oh my God, watching him is graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
Could you help me with the computer?
You need a laptop.
That's too small. I just wanted something to email my grandson.
Email? I got one more for you. Video conferencing. This puppy, great for presentations. 80 megs of RAM, DVD, lots of fonts. You like fonts? Of course you do. Everybody likes fonts. 900 megawatts, 1200 dpi color printer.
Gateway systems feature Intel Pentium processors. Call us and get one that's right for you.
I love watching classic sports.
Yeah, the fights are awesome. That's what we're talking about. Oh, Ali and Frazier.
The home run derby is my favorite.
The tennis and
the old-time football games.
I'll tell you right now, I'm hooked on it. Just turn on the classics. It's awesome.
Everybody's talking about it. It's just something you cannot miss at all.
I'm hooked on Classic Sports Network.
Watch it every night.
I love classic sports.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
What a wild game this was. Now, through the first 3 innings, we've had 2 home runs, a fly ball lost in the sun, a failed squeeze play, and a lot of runners left on base. Now, this wasn't exactly textbook baseball. At fly ball losing it in the sun, I don't know, it can happen to anybody when you really think about it, but...
Exactly. Well, I think the biggest thing that transpires in this particular play is that Cleon Jones, he's more concerned about the wall than anything else. Now, he looks up, and it looks as though he's got the ball in his sights, but here, now, last second, the ball falls in front of him. He shies away from it. Joe Rudy is given a double on the play, and that's just a mistake on his part.
But the spotlight is so bright in the World Series.
Right.
I mean, if that had happened in regular season, nobody says anything.
Right.
Hey, now, Dick Green had some problems. I mean, he didn't exactly produce, and one of the plays that really got him in trouble, I think, with his manager was Dick Williams. But this is early in the game, Gary.
Yeah, in the 3rd inning, he attempts a squeeze play, but you see, he didn't square out there enough. A breaking ball, and he just wasn't able to come up with it. Now, the Mets almost botched the play up. Grody throwing to Wayne Garrett. Wayne Garrett dropped it. John Milner was there at home plate covering, and he was able to tag out Gene Tennis. But Dick Williams calling a squeeze play that early in the ballgame?
Maybe he's looking to be manager of the year early.
Maybe so.
Hey, but look at that rundown play. You had a catcher, a third baseman, and a first baseman involved.
Right.
Who was the best you ever saw in the rundown?
Probably, I would say, as far as a base runner, the toughest to get would be Vince Coleman.
Vince Coleman.
Yeah.
In my day, it was Jackie Robinson. And any catcher in my day will tell you that because I'm telling you, he had quick acceleration.
Right.
And I can remember a game in Ebbets Field by actual count.
Right.
We had 8 players involved in the play. 8 players!
Jeez.
I mean, everybody except the third base coach was involved. We were looking for vendors, secretaries, everything. He was tough, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Now, nothing wacky happened in the 4th or the 5th as both teams failed to score. But as we're about to see, this craziness continued in the 6th. Now, after putting runners at first and third with 1 out, Vida Blue was knocked out of the game, and Horacio Pena came on in relief, trying to hold a 1-run lead.
Horacio Pena, 28 years old, born, lives in Mexico. 6 wins, 3 losses. His earned run average impressive, 2.76. What about him anymore? You watched him all year.
He throws a natural sinker off that sidearm delivery, and that is his big pitch. He does have a very big breaking curveball. Here is, in slow motion, his underarm delivery. He'll turn that ball over with real good speed.
Almost submarine, not quite.
You can see his right wrist roll over there. That's his natural pitch. He also throws a crazy-looking changeup, but I don't think you'll see him throw it with 2 men on base here. He wants the sinker down. He'd like to get the double play. And there's John Odom joining Darrell Knowles out in the Oakland bullpen.
All right, this is Pena's first World Series appearance. And he's facing Jerry Grody. The catcher of the Mets has popped up, reached in an error by third baseman Sal Bando. The A's are ahead 3-2. The Mets are threatening now. And he's hit by a pitch ball to load the bases. Grody's hit on the left arm.
He was hit earlier this year on the hand and had a fracture.
Didn't look like he picked that pitch up at all. He hardly moved, and it was in on him in a hurry.
Now let's see where he hit him. On the forearm.
Left wrist, left forearm. I think he was just trying to take a look. Take one pitch off Pena to see his delivery and follow the ball, and he didn't move at all. Let's look at it again. Pena coming from down under, as Monty Moore just told you. Grody going into his stride, stepping into it with that shoulder just a little bit. Hardly moved.
He hardly had time. That ball really gets moving when he throws it like that at times, and it's in on you before you have a chance to do anything.
Starts in the inside part of the strike zone, and it bored in on him about, looks like 2 feet. You got him.
He's all right. He's going to stay in. He'll feel worse tomorrow, though, in that arm. They'll get some ice on it after the game. Keep the swelling down. And now it's Don Hahn up with the bases loaded, 1 out.
Right now he's showing the home plate umpire, Augie Donatelli, where the ball hit him. No argument there, Augie says, did not hit your bat.
That's one time they didn't point to the shoe polish. Bases loaded. The A's bring the infield in. 1 out for the Mets. Hahn is grounded out, line to right. Hahn hits a little roller. This will be a tough play. They can't make it. The game's tied. Bando couldn't get to it. Pena ran right by the ball. And it's a tie game. This is Jones.
Let's look at it again. A little topper. Pena was pitching from the stretch. Bando had just one chance to barehand it. Here it is again. Let's watch Sal. Dick Williams came out right after the completion of this play and said to Sal, did you touch that ball or not? If you did not, it is a foul ball. Bando said to him, we have no argument. I touched the ball. It's a fair ball.
You can see it very obviously there in the replay. It's skidded out of his hands. Don Hahn is given a base hit and an RBI. Left-hander is starting to warm up. Tug McGraw in the Met bullpen. The Mets still have the bases loaded, 1 down. They tied the game at 3-all. And Bud Harrelson's the batter. He struck out, flied out. And the A's have the infield in once more. The lead runner now is Milner at third. There's a foul back out of play. Grody's at second, and Hahn's at first. So they haven't had the ball by 90 feet and 2 batters against Pena, but they scored.
Kind of evens up for all those line drives, Kurt, they've hit in this series, and they say it all evens up.
It does. It always has a way of doing it. 3-3 game now in the 6th inning. Mets with a bases loaded, 1 out. Ball, 1 strike 1 to Bud Harrelson. Harrelson has played shallow in that outfield and over to left. Joe Rudy is really crowding that left field line. Harry Parker, the Met pitcher, on deck. We'll see what Harrelson does. That probably will dictate Berra's decision. And he's got a base hit in the right field. Coming in to score is Milner. Rudy is held at third. And the Mets take the lead for the first time, 4-3. Harrelson spikes the single to right, scoring Milner. Both those runs are charged to Vida Blue. And the Mets still have the bases loaded.
Williams is coming out. He's signaling for Knowles. Now we may see who? Willie Mays?
Well, we could. They have Beecham. They have Dyer. The wheels are turning, and another break in the action here at Oakland with a score. The New York Mets 4 and the Oakland A's 3.
You're watching Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
What goes on inside the brain of a pitcher like John Smoltz? How does he tune out 50,000 screaming fanatics? How does he stay focused with a runner on first who does the 40 and 4-4 and a 342 hitter at the plate? You see, all Smoltz thinks about is this imaginary tunnel with a 2-inch leather target at the end. And there's only one sound that can break his concentration.
Strike 3!
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash it sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
Out of the shadows come 3 incredible motorcycles. Each one takes the look of a custom to a beautiful new place. The Honda Shadow Spirit 1100, the Shadow Ace Tourer, and the Shadow American Classic Edition. It's always cooler in the shadows.
$110 a month, 0 down payment. Honda Sports Center, Lake Forest.
Need a car? Auto Trader Magazines, where buyers buy and sellers sell.
Many have witnessed its awesome power. It is a strategic device of immense importance. It can bring into range an entire nation, a single neighborhood, or any segment of the populace. And most remarkable of all, it's growing even stronger as advertisers and viewers use it in record numbers. From Main Street to Madison Avenue, America's sold on cable.
To advertise your business locally, call Cable Rep Advertising at 660-0500.
Classic Sports Network, where the legends play ball. We now return to Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Jim Beecham is going to bat for Cranepool to get the right-hander in. The bases are loaded, 1 out. The Mets have scored 2 runs, and they have the lead. Now watch for some kind of trickery here on a pickoff somewhere. There's a foul ball back. The A's like to pull trick plays. They could put a count on with Tennis sneaking in behind at first base, or the count and Knowles whirling and trying to pick off at second. Maybe they won't do it, but you have to be alert.
The Mets have 2 different coaches have worn Hahn at second base. They've had a scout following the A's, D. Fondy, for about a month and a half, and he's seen it.
Knowles came in yesterday. There's a bouncing ball to the box. Threw it away! He threw it away! 1 run is in, and another run scores. He had the double play. He lost his footing. He let the ball go without the proper footing or balance and threw it away. A perfect double play ball to him.
The Mets loaded the bases again, but failed to score any more runs in the inning. Now, in the bottom of the 6th, Tug McGraw retired the side, while in the top of the 7th, his counterpart, Darrell Knowles, worked his way out of a 1st and 3rd jam. Now, let's rejoin the action in the bottom of the 7th with 1 out, and the A's trying to come back from a 6-3 deficit.
Bert Campaneris has tripled in 3 times. We're at the top of the A's batting order. They shorten up at 1st and 3rd, and McGraw slips the strike across. Mets leading 6-3. Strike 2, 0-2. John Odom will warm up again in the A's bullpen. Oh, hit God. There goes his helmet. He's hit on the head to the back of the neck.
Okay, see it again on the replay. That's Joe Romo, the A's trainer. It appears that the ball hit the helmet. The helmet had not yet fallen off Bert's head.
How many times have you and I seen players saved from serious injury by the batting helmets now?
I couldn't count them, Curtis. I know Monty has too many times. He appears to be shook up. Williams wants to make sure. No ball, 2-strike count. Bert trying to get his left arm in the way of his head. And Monty, I don't know for sure, but I think that helmet had flipped off his head and caught him a grazing blow on the side. Here's the pitch, a fastball from McGraw. He throws inside on occasion, right off the top of the helmet, fortunately.
It hit his helmet. He's on first. Hit by the pitch ball, 1 out. And Joe Rudy up, has doubled, singled, bounced to the pitcher. Rudy's driven in a run. Our score, Game 2 of the World Series, 73, 6-3, the New York Mets. Last of the 7th. Crowd yelling, go, 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 but the A's can't afford to be gambling here. 3 runs back. Unless Campaneris just thinks he's got a lock at stealing a base. Ball 1 to Joe Rudy. Sal Bando's on deck. So McGraw has 2 rough right-handers he has to face.
Curtis, Bert Campaneris is just the type of emotional player as we saw last year in the championship series against Detroit. Even 3 runs down, he's liable to go for second base.
1 ball, no strikes. A check swing by Rudy. It's ball 2, 2-0. Dick Williams. McGraw behind Rudy. 2 balls and no strikes. Rudy's being played straight away and deep, way deep in the Mets outfield. 3-0. Look how deep the outfield's going to be playing Rudy. They're just 3 or 4 steps in front of the warning path, Monty.
Baltimore had the same kind of setup against Oakland. They had their outfielders very, very deep against several of the players, including Campaneris.
Well, they don't want a ball to get over them now. They'd rather have one drop in front of them.
George Stone now starting to throw for the Mets.
Ball 4. Williams hopes his man can come through. Campaneris at second, Rudy at first, 1 out. Handle the batter. A triple and 3 times up today. Ball 1 by Tug McGraw. I think he's trying to turn that ball over on him, and his screwball's not working right for him. 1 ball, no strike. He likes to feed the right-handers that screwball, breaking away. They'll try and pull it. They slap it on the ground. Campaneris dancing around in the background. There it is. Pull him on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. 6-3 Mets. The A's now threatening in the last of the 7th. Just missed blowing away again. 2 balls and a strike. He has not given Bando a fastball. Leon trying to bluff Campaneris back. Bando fouls the back, and our count goes to 2-2.
That was a pitch Sal wanted. Got it up and in a little bit. A ball he could call up in the strike zone.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Campaneris going. He steals third. Campaneris stole third. Bando was called out as Campaneris stole third. Well, that's the second out. There's Campaneris on third. That's his second stolen base of the series. Reggie Jackson was struck out, grounded out, and singled. Campaneris stole 3 bases in the playoffs against Baltimore and 2 now in the World Series against the Mets. Jackson, 1 out of 3. 2 out, runners on first and third, and the A's are trailing by 3. it in the right center. Caponera scores. Rudy's going to third, and headlong into second is Jackson. He evidently is coming out of his slump, and we now have a 6-4 game. Mets are ahead.
Kurt, there was an example of taking advantage of Rusty Staub's throwing arm.
And he hits it in the right center. Caponera scores. Rudy's going to third, and headlong into second is Jackson. He evidently is coming out of his slump, and we now have a 6-4 game. Mets are ahead.
With runners at second and third, Gene Tenace struck out the end of the inning, but Reggie's double brought the A's within 2. But, Gary, first of all, Rusty Staub throwing underhand. He had separated his shoulder, and he was still playing. It was a gutsy performance.
Very gutsy. I mean, the fact that he separated in the League Championship Series against the Reds, but still played in the World Series. And, you know, he was a key player in that series, and yet he still went out there and played. It didn't affect him swinging.
He was in it for his bat.
He was in it there for his bat.
Because he was one of those guys that if he left the glove home, fine. But if he left the bat home, look out.
Right, but every play, he had to throw underhand. He couldn't get on top of the
Let's
ball.
talk about Reggie for a minute here, because we know what has happened after this, but this was early in his career. Who could have expected what he did?
Well, he hadn't quite accomplished the Mr. October tag that was given to him later when he was with the New York Yankees, but he missed the series the previous year with a hamstring problem and did not play at all. But this was his first World Series, and he was just coming off a banner year where he hit 32 home runs, led the league, 117 RBIs, and also had runs scored where he led the league with 99. So he was keyed up for this series, Joe, and I tell you, he came through in a big way.
What do you remember about him? You must have played in spring training against him, or maybe an all-star game?
Well, the thing I remember most about Reggie, I never got a chance to play against him, but it was in the 1971 All-Star game at Detroit, where he hit a mammoth home run off the light tower off of Doc Ellis. So, I mean, Reggie Jackson, I mean, he was something. And when he played with a lot of flair.
He knew where the cameras were and the whole thing. In fact, when I introduced Reggie at banquets, I always say the only regret Reggie has in his life that he never got to see himself play.
Exactly.
And he'll only be satisfied if he dies in his own arms. That's all. He's quite a guy.
Yeah.
And really a showman. He can use the cameras better than any baseball player I ever saw. Hey, in the top of the 8th, Blue Moon Odom entered the game and retired the Mets in order. Tug McGraw followed with his own 1-2-3 inning. Now, when we come back, we'll see if the Mets could add to their 6-4 lead in the 9th.
We'll be right back with more of Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio on HBO, Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
In 1941, Joe DiMaggio set a record that may never be broken. He hit safely in 56 consecutive games. No one has really come close to matching that streak. And incidentally, this year marks the 56th anniversary of DiMaggio's 56. Joe DiMaggio, Classic Sports Athlete of the Week.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him is graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio?
Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, openly, I'm important. But it's gotta save money, real money, and go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value, it'd be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Puree, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye stride. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn. Line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. Hey, Mike from Sin City.
These are He's a blur.
Splits, hits, flips. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Mike Andrews has gone to second base. And the Rams are still undefeated. They won their 5th in a row. They beat Dallas 37-31. Rusty Staub in the 9th inning fouls it back, and the San Diego Chargers so far upsetting the Oakland Raiders 10-6 in the 3rd period. We have 3 undefeated teams left in professional football. Rusty Staub, the batter. Ball, 1 strike 1. Staub playing with an injured shoulder. Grounded out, flied out, struck out, flied out. 0 for 4. John Odom pitching in his 2nd inning of relief. Staub has a base hit to center. He's recovering. Leon Jones has been on base 3 times. He homered to right field in the 2nd. There's Staub swing. You can still he's still favoring that arm. No, he didn't take that really big swing of his. Willie Mays has gone in a run at first base for Staub. Mays at first, 42 years old as a pinch runner. Received a standing ovation yesterday when he was introduced. Said today he really appreciated it from the Oakland fans, American League fans across the bay. Jones has been on 3 times. His tennis holding against Mays. Jones has homered, single, walked, and grounded out. He's had 4 hits in 2 games of this series. A pop-up by Cleon Jones. Backpedaling is Gene Tennis. The foul ball, and he has it, and it's 1 out. You Oakland fans looking to the last of the 9th. Odom, the pitcher, scheduled to lead off. Then to the top of the order, Campaneris and Rudy. John Milner grounded out, flied out, singled, and walked. He scored 1 run. In the 4th quarter now, the Oakland Raiders have a 27-17 lead over San Diego. That ball's hit into right field. Willie Mays has stumbled. Mays stumbling going into 2nd, couldn't make the turn to come to 3rd. He lost his footing as he was approaching 2nd base.
Boy, here's an unusual thing. One of baseball's all-time greatest base runners had an easy shot going 1st to 3rd. And right there, he was on the wrong step going around the bag. That's what caused it. He saw that he was off stride to hit the bag, and Willie fell down.
All right, that's Mays at 2nd. Milner at 1st. We're watching 2 players starting to come out of batting slumps. Reggie Jackson's had 2 hits today, and Milner now is starting to hit the ball again. He didn't hit much in the latter part of September of the playoffs. A strike to Jerry Grody. He's been on base 3 times. That's Lindblad warming up in the A's bullpen. In the 9th inning, the Mets are leading 6-4. They have 2 men on and 1 out. Grody's reached in an error, been hit by a pitch ball and single, and he's popped up. 1 strike, 2 ends. 1-1.
Sure, it would almost be a typical Willie Mays play to try to make up for missing 3rd base if they give him a big lead to take off for 3rd here.
He's at 2nd. Milner's at 1st. There's a pop foul. That was fair. The infield fly rule would be called. Bando squeezes it for the 2nd out. And Don Hahn, the center fielder, will be up. The Mets will have a new right fielder in the last of the ninth inning. Mays could go to center with Hahn moving to right. Final, Oakland Raiders 27, San Diego 17. Did a great job on the anthem, Tennessee. Tennessee Ernie Ford, who sang our national anthem today. And he was really with it. 1 ball, no strikes. Mays at second, Milner at first, 2 down. 6-4. New York Mets in the ninth inning. There's a bounding ball out to Campaneris. He makes the play to first to retire the side. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. Last of the ninth coming up, 6-4 New York.
You're watching Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Hey, Sam, listen, I'm nervous about the Mulligan presentation. I mean, how are we going to print out all those color pages, scan in those color logos, capture that frame of video, fax a proof, and make all those color copies? By 5. Forget golf today, pal.
The Brother MFC 7000, the total color solution, with all the color versatility you need, exactly when you need it.
Sam, it's me again. We've only got 2 more hours. I hope everything's under control. Sam, why aren't you picking up? Sam? Sam!
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's gotta save money, real money, and go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value, be reliable, and fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
Just a second. Look, you got the wrong guy. Whoa. Oh, boy, you're tall. Can I get you a beer? Oh, it's Sam Adams.
There are times when only a perfect glass of beer will do.
That's a good one, Grim.
Sam Adams, a better glass of beer.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him was graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
Classic Sports Network, the greatest new network in the history of sports.
We now return to Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
That defensive change for the Mets sends Willie Mays to right field in place of Rusty Staub. Willie Mays is 22nd and last year of the National League. Started yesterday's game, now winds up in the last of the ninth inning today in right field. Now, wait a minute, they moved Willie to center field. I was wondering about that. Hahn went to center. I thought Mays would play center, and he went over to right field. Now they switched him. I don't know whether Yogi sent him out that way or changed his mind. So Mays goes to center, and Hahn over to right. And Darren Johnson is batting for John Odom. And now the pitcher, McGraw's working out of the sunshine into the shadows of the batter, which is disconcerting for a hitter. A strike for the fastball. Tug McGraw working on his 4th inning. He's allowed 1 run in 3 innings of relief today. There's a smash in the left center. Willie Mays over, and it gets by him. He lost his footing again. Darren Johnson's in the second, Willie Mays stumbling again as he did on the bases. He can't seem to get his coordination together today with his feet.
Boy, Kurt, this is the thing that I think all sports fans in all areas hate to see, is a great one playing in his last years having this kind of trouble, standing up and falling down, that kind of thing. We'll have a pinch runner now. The Panamanian Express, Alan Lewis, goes in to run for Darren Johnson.
I think the sun bothered Willie. 10 years ago, he would have put that ball in his hip pocket.
Underhanded.
With blindfolds on him.
Right.
And a handkerchief. Now, Darren Johnson, they have scored a double for Darren Johnson. He's replaced by Alan Lewis. Now Barrett has to be worried. The A's have the top of their order up, and the batter Campaneris is the tying run. Alan Lewis, a pitch runner at second. Campaneris looks at ball one. They're not looking for any bunt, but they're looking for Campy to slap the ball, and they're playing tight at first and third. Ball two. 2-0 to Campaneris.
Well, this is the man the Mets really want to keep off the bases, and as he guards the third base foul line, they can't allow any kind of an extra base hit here.
Miller is playing the same way over at first. Campaneris has tripled today in 3 times. Strike to Campaneris, 2-1. George Stone, a left-hander. Charlie Finley and American League President Joe Cronin chatting. Dick Williams. Strike 2. McGraw comes right in with it. 2-2 to Bert Campaneris. Alan Lewis is out at second base with nobody out in the last of the 9th inning. Tug McGraw. 2-2 delivery. Low to him, ball 3. 3-2.
He had him fooled there, Kurt. That was a screwball. If that's over the plate, Campaneris was through.
3-2. Joe Rudy will be up next. Good shot of that sunshine, and then the ball spinning into the shadows. 3-2 delivery. Took him out. A high pitch, and he got away with it.
You can see, Kurt, how hard it is to walk Campaneris. This looked like ball 4, possibly.
Joe Rudy's up. Rudy's doubled and singled in 3 official trips. Ball 1. And walk. Joe Rudy's been on base 3 times. 6-4, the New York Mets are 2 outs away from evening up the World Series. Sending it back to New York Tuesday night at Shea Stadium. 1 ball, no strikes. One and 1 to Rudy. A fastball again.
He has really challenged some of these hitters with that. He challenged Tennis twice and struck Bando out with it.
You have to have some flair to be a great reliever. McGraw has that flair. 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, good stuff helps too. He hits it to third. Dropped by Garrett. Up. He still has time, and he's got him. Garrett kept his presence. He was looking to second to see what Lewis was going to do. Knocked it down. Kept his cool and still made the play.
He's right on that foul line, too, Kurt. There's a ball that might have been tough for him if he's off the line. He just took his eyes off the ball, you could see, to see what Lewis was going to do. But he had it in front of him. It was no tough play at all.
All right, the A's are down to their last out. Dick Williams doesn't like it. Sal Bando has tripled in 4 times. There's a runner at second. 2 down. The A's are 2 runs behind. George Stone continues to nonchalantly warm up in the Met bullpen in case he would be needed. A ball to Bando. Lewis at second. Doug McGraw, native Californian. Foul ball, 1-1. Lewis at second. I think the A's better get used to looking at McGraw. I think they're going to see plenty of him in this series.
And Yogi just kept throwing those left-handers out there. Parker worked only one inning today.
There's his screwball. I mean, he's really got these A's tied up with that pitch. He's missed with some of them. Tom Seaver, John Matlack, alongside of Berra, starting to get a happy look on their faces. The 1-2 pitch, 2-2 to Bando. McGraw teasing everybody with more suspense. 6-4 Mets, last of the ninth. 2-2. Foul back.
Right at him with a letter-high fastball, and I doubt that Bando sees another one of those.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Lewis leads off second. Didn't miss by much inside. 3-2. Two pitch. All 4, and the A's have the tying runs on. The batter is Reggie Jackson. Just missed. All right, now Jackson, after striking out and grounding out, singled to right in the 5th and doubled to right in the 7th. He doubled off McGraw. And they're waving. Let's see who they're trying to bring in. They're waving the right fielder on.
They're trying to move Willie Mays over a little bit, maybe. Yeah, Willie was playing him straight up. They're trying to move Mays over in center field into right center.
Reggie Jackson up. The tying runs on for the A's. 2 down, last of the 9th inning. Breaking delivery over for a strike. Charlie Finley. Jackson 2 out of 4. Hitless yesterday. And remember, he has real power. 32 homers this year. We haven't seen that power in the playoffs of the World Series yet. 1 strike. He hits a ground ball in the right field. Lewis is scoring. Over to third is Bando. And it's now 6-5, New York. And the A's have the tying run at third, the winning run at first, as Jackson delivers his 3rd hit in a row.
Well, that's a look at the crowd that has gotten used to seeing the A's play tight ball games. And now Gene Tennis, the hero of last year for the A's in the World Series, is going to come up for another shot at it. McGraw struck him out in the 7th inning, and he did it by starting him off with 2 fastballs. Then he threw 2 screwballs, missing with 1, getting the other one over. Now, if you're Gene Tennis, what are you going to be guessing here?
Well, I know Tennis was the hero of the series last year. This year, the Mets have checked him. He's walked twice, hit into a double play, and struck out today. And he hits it into left field. The A's have tied the game. The A's tie it up and have a chance to win it now. Tennis drilled a hard line drive. And look at those.
Well, with runners at first and second and a chance to win it, Jesus Salou tapped back to Tug McGraw, and he sent the game into extra innings. But the A's capitalized on a mistake by Willie Mays, something he rarely did in his 22-year career, misplay a fly ball. After all, Willie made the most famous catch in World Series history. Tell you, a lot of people said he shouldn't have played that year, but Gary, that's one of the toughest things for an athlete, when to retire.
Absolutely. Well, my last year I hit .218. Willie apparently hit .211, but I felt that...
See, you guys don't know what it's like, because I hit that for a career, man.
Okay. Well, my last year, I kind of knew it was time to get out.
What told you?
Well, my knees were really hurting me, and I needed surgery on both of them, actually, at the end of the season.
Do you think Willie was getting any messages?
I think a little bit. I don't think his instincts and his reactions were quite as good, and I think that's a lot of the reason why the sports writers felt that he should have retired and not even played the '73 season.
For him to hit 211, that's not even the New York area code for crying out loud.
And the thing about it is that he finished third all-time on the home run list behind Henry Aaron and Babe Ruth with 660 lifetime home runs. But in the series, in all the series that he played, he only hit 239 with no home runs.
And I tell you, Willie said one of the great things to me to describe baseball. When they hit it, I catch it, and when they throw it, I hit it. And people, that's baseball. Now, when we come back, the adventure continues in the 10th as the Mets try to take the lead against Oakland's relief ace, Rollie Fingers.
We'll be right back with more of Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Critics are starting to speak of the devil.
It's my time now. We will win.
A sexy and scary surprise.
Want to go upstairs and now?
Oscar-caliber performances from Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
We're coming out! Guns blazing!
Keanu Reeves.
You blind me!
Al Pacino. A devilishly good time. The Devil's Advocate, rated R. Now playing at a theater near you.
It's time for Bernie Williams to get into the batter's box and face a rock-hard ball coming at him from just 60 feet 6 inches away. Battling sinkers, sliders, curves, knucklers, changeups, forkballs, fastballs, and the occasional brushback. But Bernie doesn't sweat it. Hey, he's got a whole 1/10 of a second to react.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
Dave Cause live in concert at the Hyatt Newporter Outdoor Amphitheater in Newport Beach. 4 p.m. Sunday, October 19th. The Sandpipers of Hoag Hospital Foundation and the Hyatt Newporter present the Sax Man, Dave Cause, in an exciting 2-hour jazz concert. Tickets just $35 each. Proceeds benefit Hoag Cancer Center. Call Ticketmaster at 740-2000 or the Hyatt Newporter at 729-1234.
Watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
All right, Bud Harrelson. 1 hit and 4 times. In close to third, it's a strike. Rollie Fingers yesterday. 3 1/3 innings. He allowed 3 hits, no runs. He walked 1. He struck out 3. He was a bit wild the first 2 innings of relief. The 1-strike pitch. Low and away to Bud Harrelson. And now the sign goes out to the Met bullpen again, Monty. It's George Stone. Number 40, George Stone. This will be about the 3rd time he's warmed up. Strike 2. Now the A's fans are on fire. They've seen their team come back with a dramatic rally in the last of the 9th. They smell blood.
We've seen it so many times here this year, Kurt. It's just been incredible how many times they'll be behind in the 9th and go out and tie it up or win it.
The 1-2 pitch to Harrelson. It crowds him for a 2-2 count.
I think that's the big advantage you have at a home crowd, Kurt, and they tell us the Shea Stadium has got to be that way, and that's why the Mets felt they were favored when they went back for the final 3 against Cincinnati at home.
There's nobody will ever argue. You'd rather have that last time at bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 5 pitchers today have been used by the Oakland A's. There's a shot by Campaneris in the center field. Bud Harrelson's on to start the 10th. Just to the left of Campy. Now McGraw is coming out. And everybody in the park's looking for him to bunt.
I would imagine that right here, here's the pitch. You can see where it was on Harrelson. It was about waist high right down the middle, and he just hit it out of the reach of Campaneris. With Dick Green in the lineup, the A's might have their second baseman charging here, but Mike Andrews hasn't played that much at second base for Oakland, so I would imagine that Bando and Tennis would be the men charging the plate here, and Andrews would go to cover first.
Andrews is the third second baseman used by the A's today. Doug McGraw. Bando will be ready to come in on him. He's already creeping in. Goes Tennis. It's pushed to the box. Fingers throws to second. Safe. Back to first. Out. But Harrelson safe at second. And the Mets now have the go-ahead run at second base. Fingers gambled. And he was late at second base.
Here comes Bando in, but they bunt the ball away from Bando. Fingers picked it up. Made a good throw. Just out of our picture where Campaneris' foot was on that angle, but you can see that his relay to first did nail the runner there for 1 out.
1 out. Top of the order up now. Wayne Garrett. Let's take a look at this runner going into second on that last play. This is Bud Harrelson. And he beats the throw. He's safe. Ball 1 to Wayne Garrett. Garrett hit a home run in the third. That's been his lone hit today. He has struck out 3 times, a walk. 1 out of 4. Game tied 6-6 in the top of the 10th. Bud Harrelson at second, 1 down. Downing ball to first base. Bad hop. Tennis flips to Fingers. Safe! Fingers off the bag. Fingers was not on the bag. The ball nearly hopped over Tennis's head on a bad hop. Fingers came over on a high throw. His feet were not on the bag.
Here it is again. You'll see it take a terrible hop over Gene Tennis, and he made a fine play just getting to it. Well, looks like it might have hit the bag.
Might have hit the front of the bag.
Fine play by Tennis right here, but now he's got to toss it to Fingers. And his foot is off the bag as he went up to catch it.
I'd like to see the finish of that. Neon now has gone hitless in 4 times. The A's have the infield drawn in with 1 out, runners on first and third. Ball, look out. Boy, coming up was Harrelson.
Somebody missed a sign.
They missed a sign, and I thought Fosse had a chance to pick him off. Harrelson was really coming up, and it appeared as if they had the squeeze on, but not the suicide squeeze. Now Bando and Mike Andrews, the second baseman, he wants to counsel him. Bando looks to the A's dugout to get a sign. How do you want to play? That's the signals they use. Monty can explain that to you.
Right, the A's have a series of signs, and Bando always flicks them, and he'll use his shirt or his head. On the coverage plays, they use their shirt, and on trick plays, Bando uses his head, his ears, nose, mouth.
1 ball, no strikes to Felix Meon. Runners on first and third for the Mets. There's a smash foul down the right field line. Wayne Garrett going back to first, and Bud Harrelson the third. Oh, this Harrelson's a fine little ball player.
Does a lot of things to beat you, to keep innings alive, and to cut off the big offense with his fine defensive plays.
1 ball, 1 strike. Raleigh Fingers pitching to Felix Meon. Willie Mays is on deck. Ball 2, strike 1. 2-1. 2 runners again. Mays intently watching from the on-deck circle. This is a 2-1 pitch coming up. It's a high fly into left field. Not too deep. Rudy's there. Tagging is Harrelson. Will he gamble? He's coming. Here's the throw. And he is at home plate. He's out. Willie Mays resting up. Yogi Berra arguing. The Mets have gone wild on the double play. Joe Rudy throws out Bud Harrelson. Willie Mays arguing. Here it is, Monty.
Here it is. Harrelson was going to go all the way. The throw from Rudy, who is a fine thrower, got to Fosse. The question is, did Fosse tag him? He's got it in plenty of time to tag him. He might have missed him right there. You can't tell with this angle, but he definitely had a shot at him.
Let's look at this angle now. Rudy lets it go. A great throw by Rudy. Coming in. Fosse has it now, reaches for it, but it appears that he missed it.
Hey, look at the position of the umpire here, Kurt. He's lying down on the ground. Look at this. He really wants to get a look at it.
Look at Willie Mays saying, no! Right down there with the umpire.
He missed the tag.
Well, but he made it look like he made the tag, and I think Donatelli was out of position.
Let's take another look at that and look at the replay, and there's so many things that happened with this play. It wasn't just missing the tag. Now, here it is.
High fly in the left field. Not too deep. Rudy
Now,
Berra.
it isn't too deep, so it looks like he's got a good chance. Why doesn't he slide?
Well, it's because the throw is in the third base side, and Harrelson, he was going full bore, and he wasn't able to change directions to try and slide. He wasn't thinking head first slide by any means. Mays was in the best position because he could see that Fosse missed the tag. Harrelson, he avoided the tag by changing directions and then got to home plate.
And Donatelli, when he did that with the mask, now watch this play again.
He thinks he might have sideswiped him a little bit or caught him on the backside. Harrelson's coming here. Now watch where the throw is. The throw goes, and Harrelson's almost like trying to avoid this the ball because he sees where Fosse's setting up. Then when Fosse goes after him, he missed him altogether.
It wasn't that deep, but I tell you, you just heard that eloquent description by Gary Carter. I heard the raw tape because they had somebody mic'd, and I'm telling you, it's in direct contrast. Harrelson comes back and argues on the play. Now, he really avoids the tag. And Harrelson, in his squeaky voice, says something like, I'm not going to pay for your incompetency. Okay? Now, Donatelli, when you saw him flick the mask behind his back, Yogi's saying to him, where'd he tag him? Where'd he tag him? Where'd he tag him? And Donatelli finally in desperation says, on the ass. Now, that is really eloquent, isn't it? Huh? I tell you, what a play that was, boy. Descriptions and all. When we come back, the A's try to take the lead at the top of the 10th. But first, let's hear what Yogi Berra had to say about the play, but this is after the play, believe me.
Where did he touch him? Where did he touch him? Now let's go. Where did he touch him? Right here on the...
You're watching Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports. This World Series memory is brought to you by Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio on HBO Monday, October 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
My greatest World Series memory would probably be pitching the 7th game of the World Series against Jack Morris. Not only our first World Series, but it's the 7th game and everything that it means, the pressure that it brings about, and the excitement of really playing the ultimate game and pitching against a guy that I grew up idolizing, Jack Morris with the Tigers, who would then pitch with the Minnesota Twins. So to go that long without giving up a run was probably be a memorable game for everybody who watched it. But for me personally, knowing that it was late in the year and laying it all on the line, and ultimately we came away with the loss, but it was probably a game I never forget.
The grace.
Oh my God, watching him is graceful. Everything he did was easy for him.
The glamour.
There was a matinee idol quality to him that you usually associate with the film business.
The all-American hero.
You're looking for a hero, something to believe in. That's what Joe was.
From reluctant star to reclusive legend.
He lived for baseball.
For those who saw him play, it will always be summer. Where Have You Gone, Joe DiMaggio? Premieres Monday, October 20th on HBO.
If I ran the post office, There'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's gotta save money. Real money. And go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value. It'd be reliable. And fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver.
Still shaving with blades? We know how you feel about that. The Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort.
This week on The Joe Namath Show, Walt Frazier and Dave DeBusschere from the New York Knicks. Plus, viewer mail.
Dear Mr. Namath, all those girls write to you and want to meet you and go out with you, and I guess it gets to be a real pain. I don't want your autograph. I don't want your picture. Please just send me all your mail. Sincerely, Phil.
The Joe Namath Show, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Tune in and turn on, only on Classic Sports.
We now return to Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
See what you fans think of this play. This will be discussed all night tonight. Here's Bud Harrelson coming in on the fly ball, the shallow left. Rudy's making his throw now to the plate, to Fosse. And it appears to us on this rerun that he is not tagged. Fosse reaching out on that rerun from that angle definitely looked like he missed him. But here's the last of the 10th. Ray Fosse's up, and the first pitch is strike. Well, we showed you that rerun. They'll be rerunning that 100 times tonight around America. News shows on NBC. Strike. 1 ball, 1 to Fosse, who's hitless in 3 times. So that was a double play. And the game is tied 6-6 in the last of the 10th. The screwball by Tug McGraw has Fosse fooled. McGraw has pitched 4 innings of relief. Allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, walked 2. He has struck out 3. He pitched 2 innings yesterday. He's actually given 3 runs up today. Tantalizing pitch again, a 2-2 count. Mike Andrews is on deck. And then the pitcher, Raleigh Fingers. That's Andrews. Struck him out on the fastball. McGraw, you know, he gives you this, gives you that. He didn't suddenly pop that fastball in. 1 out in the last of the 10th inning for the Oakland A's. The late Tudor's in. They were trailing 6-3. They scored a run in the 7th. Reggie Jackson's double in the 9th. They had 2 down. Bando walk. Jackson single after Johnson had led off with a double. Ball that Willie Mays lost somewhat in the sun. Foul back. Jackson knocked in a run. Then Gene Tennis singled to left on the first pitch to drive in the tying run. So the A's rallied to keep it going.
Kurt Mike Andrews was on Dick Williams' 1967 Boston Red Sox Miracle Championship team in the American League.
The strike. He did a good job that year for the Red Sox, especially with the bat. A manager never forgets a player that does a good job. You know, he has confidence in him, Monty.
That's right, and as soon as he became available from Chicago, Dick Williams told Charlie Finley, I'd like to have him. He'll be able to help us.
2-strike pitch to Mike Andrews. A ball, 1-2. This game is tied 6-6, last of the 10th inning. It's been packed with just about everything you'd want. Home runs, some bad plays, some great plays. The most discussed play, though, will be the tag at the plate that they have called a double play.
Kurt, I think that shot that we had of Willie Mays down on his knees pleading with Donatelli was as dramatic a shot as I've ever seen on television.
He wasn't pleading, I don't think.
Not exactly.
2-2. I think he was saying some other things. A 2-2 delivery. All 3 in the dirt to Mike Andrews. 3-2. Raleigh Fingers will be up next. There's no action in the A's bullpen. And there's Fingers. 2 of baseball's premier relievers are going at it now, Fingers and McGraw. The 3-2 pitch. Strike 3, he's out. McGraw's had an odd pattern today. He puts him down in order 1 inning, and he struggles the next inning. Came back in the 8th after giving up a run, facing 6 batters in the 7th. He put him down in order in the 8th. And he gave up 2 runs in the 9th. Now he's retired the first 2 batters in the 10th. Raleigh Fingers. With 2 down, nobody on. 6-6 tie. Ball 1 to Fingers. Campaneris on deck. One ball, 1 strike. If we go to the 11th, there's Campaneris. Mays, Jones, and Milner will be up for the Mets. And Monty Moore will be telling you about it. A 1-1 pitch. 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike. $50,000 fans today, and a beautiful sunshiny day. Watch a high fly. The Mays out in center field. Willie's coming on, and he has it. I think he lost the ball in the sun at first. He's out. 1, 2, 3, they go down. We're going to the 11th inning with a score 6-6.
We'll be right back with more of Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line 4. Fury, the Rocket Man.
Yeah, he's off the eye chart. Show him the bye-bye strike. Ta-ta, Mr. Autobahn, line 3.
How about that Zamboni guy, eh? He's pretty good, eh?
No. A, Mike from Sin City.
Deezer is a blur.
Splits, hit splits. Nobody rides for free. Oh, at 10 from the Russian judge. 1-888-MY-HOUSE. Talking who's who of Mach 2 and dropping off D. NHL 98, the ultimate judge. EA Sports. It's in the game.
To help capture the realism for Kart World Series, Argero Wells driver Max Pappas let us take his car out for a spin.
How's she feel?
Feels pretty sweet. The sequential gearbox is amazing. I don't even have to get off the throttle to shift.
Beautiful, you're doing great.
I'm still getting a little push in turn 2.
We'll put 1 turn into the front wing.
Hey, I can see you guys now. Wave. Hello. This is smooth riding. I wish it had a cup holder. That would be nice.
PlayStation.
If I ran the post office, there'd be a way to send paperwork and merchandise overseas that gets attention. Something that says, open me. I'm important. But it's gotta save money. Real money. And go to all my key markets. Plus it would have value. It'd be reliable. And fast.
Global Priority Mail. It's happening at your U.S. Postal Service. We deliver. You're watching the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Willie Mays batting in the 11th inning with a count of 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2.
Monty, it's interesting. Tony Kubek has come back upstairs. He was down on the field preparing for some post-game interviews if we had time. Did you hear anything down there interesting on that tag at the plate?
I did overhear something, and I saw 3 angles on the replay, which it was difficult to tell on, but I did overhear Fosse saying to his own players, I think I brushed him.
With the ball or the shoulder? 2-0 on Willie Mays. Fouled off, and you know Willie's trying to hit one downtown here. Fingers came on in relief in the 10th inning. Misses high, ball 3. On deck, Jones. Paul Lindblad goes to work in the Oakland bullpen. Willie pops it up. It's right out in front of the plate, and Raleigh Fingers is calling for Gene Tennis to make the play on it. He staggered around a little bit and caught it. That couldn't have been lost in the sun. Look at Gino. Look at my heart.
Relief he has.
I tell you, he's a dandy.
Gene, World Series pressure taking place right now. Gino really making sure on it.
Here's Cleon Jones. He homered in the 2nd inning, single in the 4th, walked and scored in the 6th, and twice. They've gotten him since then on a ground out and a pop-up. Paul Lindblad sits down again. He's the only man left in the Oakland bullpen who is a reliever. Sidearm slider, ball 1. Fingers hasn't thrown many breaking balls since coming on here. Breaking ball, strike call. Fingers breaking ball is a hard slider, but it's a big breaking slider. He'll throw it either over the top or from the side. There it is. And he had Jones out front. The men who manage Major League Baseball teams have got to have some pretty tough boilers, particularly going through a 5-game playoffs. The Mets, of course, had that tough last week just to win the division. Taking a shot at the outside corner with a fastball. Raleigh missed it. There's Dick Williams. Twice has been manager of the year in the American League. Once with Boston and once with the Oakland A's. It hit him. Raleigh dropped down sidearm and hit Cleon Jones with a breaking ball.
Let's look at it again. Early in the ball game, we had an important pitch thrown by the opposing relief pitcher, Tug McGraw, which may have been a big pitch and had kept the A's in this ball game to go in the extra inning. That was the one with 2 strikes, of course, that hit Campaneris off the helmet. A big run scored in that play.
1 out, 11th inning. Here's John Milner, who led the Mets in home runs this year. That umpire looking in, American League umpire Jerry Neudecker. Notice the difference in the uniforms of these umpires. American League umpires in maroon jackets, the National Leaguers in dark blue. Fouled off, and he really got a good pitch to hit right then. Scores tied at 6 apiece after 2 out. In the 9th inning, Sal Bando worked McGraw for a walk. Reggie Jackson followed with a single. Gene Tennis followed with another, and that tied the game. Fingers missing, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. You can just see him once in a while rear back and really try to get something extra on that fastball. The outfielders are all deep. Jackson, the center fielder, shaded just a bit towards right center field for Milner. Foul ball. I don't know what the longest streak that McGraw has worked this year, but he worked a couple of innings yesterday. He's gone 5 today. Fingers was in yesterday's game for 3 innings.
Both bullpens, especially McGraw and Fingers, going to relish that off day tomorrow, give them some rest for Tuesday.
Milner's really trying to jerk one here. He's been on top of those last 2 pitches. From behind first base, you see Gene Tennis holding the inside corner against Cleon Jones. Breaking ball. He tried the give-up pitch then and missed outside, says the plate umpire. That was that little subtle motion with the left hand. The give-up pitch is one where they're ahead of the batter. They started off outside to make it look as if it's going to be way outside. The batter will give up on it. It just keeps turning and hits that outside corner. Raleigh thought he had it. Struck him out with a breaking ball. Raleigh Fingers' first strikeout, and Sal Bando goes in to talk. And what he's going to remind Raleigh Fingers of here is to keep the ball down on Jerry Grody, because this player has some power. He just missed the foul pole yesterday. The A's 6, the Mets 6, 11th inning of game number 2 being played at the Oakland Coliseum. Strike call. Good live fastball. Sal Bando, the Oakland A's third baseman, giving up a lot of ground to his left as he stands almost on the foul line at third base. It would take an extra base blow here to score the runner from first, and they're not going to get it to the right of Bando. Raleigh missing outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
This is a must game for the Mets. They're having that lead. They let this one get away. Down 2 games. Put them in a tough spot, even though they're going home.
They're going home, and they've got their 2 aces to go those next 2 games, Seaver and Matlack. Breaking ball, just missed. Boy, Finger's slider's really breaking a long ways, and he's missing awfully close on some of it.
Breaking so much. There's Yogi Berra, the only other man to win a pennant, both the National and the American League. The other, Joe McCarthy. It's breaking almost as big as a flat curveball to these right-handers. Bigger than the slider, as you normally call a slider.
Back to the fastball. He missed outside with it. He's gone to 3-1 count now on a batter that he didn't want to have to get behind. When Fingers gets in trouble with that breaking ball, it's when he hangs it on the inside to the right-hand batter. Because the batter's first reaction is to bail out just a little bit. See if Jones goes on a 3-1 count here. He's not going. Line drive left field. It's a base hit. Jones goes to second as Rudy picks the ball up, and now the Mets have a man in scoring position, and Don Hahn comes up.
You're watching Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Being a catcher's no walk in the park. Take Mike Piazza. This guy's a human target for a flamethrower who can reach speeds up to 100 miles an hour. Even foul tips to the mask go with the territory. And he's got to call pitches, handle pickoffs, pitch-outs, and pop-ups. Not to mention human freight trains hurtling toward him. Spikes first. Try telling Mike Piazza baseball isn't a contact sport.
Used cars to be sold as low as $88. That's right, the giant slash and sales event is coming to you at Elmore Toyota. Choose from a huge selection of used cars, trucks, minivans, and sport utility vehicles. Prices slash thousands from original Blue Book. No hassle, just the best price up front before you decide. Be there when the gates open. Get behind the wheel of the car of your choice, and we'll slash the price to the absolute bottom line. The slash and sale is for 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 17th, 18th, and 19th at Elmore Toyota in Westminster. Be there!
We're not slackers.
We are fighters.
We're not spoiled.
But we have many gifts.
We are not wild.
We're just crazy about life. We are not filled with hate.
We're filled with hope. We're not the problem.
We are the future.
We're not Generation X.
We are Generation Excellent.
Out of the shadows come 3 incredible motorcycles. Each one takes the look of a custom to a beautiful new place. The Honda Shadow Spirit 1100, the Shadow Ace Tourer, and the Shadow American Classic Edition. It's always cooler in the shadows.
$110 a month, 0 down payment. Honda Sports Center, Lake Forest.
Need a car? Auto Trader magazines, where buyers buy and sellers sell.
Game 2 of the Ultimate World Series on Classic Sports.
Don Hahn grounded out to end the top of the 11th inning, and the game was still tied. Unfortunately, as sometimes happens with 25-year-old footage, the final inning of the original broadcast of this game has been lost. Now, what we have found are selected highlights. And now, a World Series finish you won't want to miss.
Harrelson doubles, and McGraw's sacrifice attempt pops over the head of hard-charging Sal Bando, and the Mets have runners on first and third. Raleigh Fingers recovers to get 2 outs, and it's all up to Willie Mays. The final hit of Willie's fabulous career breaks the tie, and the Mets lead 7-6. Paul Lindblad looks for the third out with John Milner at the plate. As Milner's bouncer goes through the legs of second baseman Mike Andrews, McGraw and Mays come home, and the Mets now have a 3-run advantage. The strange saga of Mike Andrews is just beginning. Jerry Grody is ruled safe on this play with another error charged to Andrews for a wide throw pulling tennis off first. Late afternoon shadows mixed with sunshine combine to hide yet another fly ball. Mays can't locate it, and it's a leadoff triple for Reggie Jackson. McGraw departs in favor of George Stone. Stone becomes the 11th pitcher of the day, tying a World Series record. Stone finally settles the issue after Jesus Alou singles Jackson home, and the Mets escape with a wild and woolly 10-7 victory accomplished in a mere 4 hours and 13 minutes. It's a new series marathon mark, and just about the same amount of time it takes to fly cross country from the Bay Area to the glittering lights of New York City.
How do you like that? The old man of the World Series, Willie Mays, did it. But you know, the story of this game wasn't just Willie Mays' winning hit. It was the 2 errors by Mike Andrews in the bottom of the 12th, and that really set off all kinds of fireworks, didn't it?
Oh, it really did. Well, Charlie O'Finley tried to claim that Mike Andrews was injured, and so he tried to release him midstream. Well, the team rebelled against him, and they really kind of gathered around Mike Andrews. And with all this happening, then Bowie Kuhn, he stepped in, and he reinstated Mike Andrews. And then the fans in New York gave Mike Andrews a standing ovation at Shea Stadium because of the errors that were committed that cost him the ball game. But even Dick Williams resigned at the end of the season because he was so mad at what Charlie O'Finley did. I mean, he was quite a character.
But how could you even walk in the clubhouse when your owner tells you not only does he not want you on a team, doesn't want you around? How would you feel?
Well, I would feel totally embarrassed, and I just wouldn't be able to handle it really as a player. I mean, midstream in the World Series, and your owner comes in and makes you the point and says that you're the reason that we lost the game. Oh, there's no way. I couldn't handle that.
Could you excuse it by just saying, well, that's Charlie Finley?
No, not at all. I don't care what owner it is or George Steinbrenner. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And Charlie used to bring that horse into the...
No. It was a donkey, Joe.
Okay, donkey, jackass, whatever you want to call it. Okay. You know, even with all the turmoil, the A's persevered, and they went on to beat the Mets in 7 games for their 2nd straight World Championship. Game 2 of that 73 World Series goes down as one of the zaniest in World Series history. So for Gary Carter, I'm Joe Garagiola, and we both thank you for joining us.
Monday, it's an Ultimate World Series triple play with games 3, 4, and 5. First, the Bo Sox try to pull the plug on the Big Red Machine. Then the Dodgers rumble in the Bronx with the Bombers. Plus, Pete Rose gets red hot against the A's Monday at 6, only on Classic Sports.
NHL 98 asking who melts ice. Take a shot.
Line slam back.